Mike Wilmer.
What's up, guys? Alright, so I'm going to do this video. On my cheek piercing. So hopefully this video can definitely help you out if you're thinking about getting cheek piercings, because that is the purpose. So when did I get my cheeks pierced? I got my cheeks pierced the end of December of 2012. So I've had them for quite some time. How much did it cost? That's going to be highly dependent on where you're at and who's piercing, the tattoo shop near you, the piercing shop near you was charging. I paid $80 for both of my piercings, which I thought was a steal. So first, does it hurt? For me, yes, it did hurt. I have a low tolerance for pain. I mean, I do, even though for whatever reason I still have piercings and a half sleeve, but I like what I like. But yeah, so yes, it did hurt for me really bad. Out of all the piercings that I do have or have had, I think the cheek piercing was the worst for me. They were super painful. And because I got, both, for me it was very painful. But it wasn't as bad as I initially thought it would be. But it wasn't as, it was painful for me because the process of piercing my cheeks wasn't as quick as, say, like piercing your ear or piercing your nose. It wasn't that fast, especially like for my septum, that was so fast. So for my cheeks it wasn't as quick, so I didn't like that. But once again, that depends on your piercer and your experience and your pain tolerance. So it might be a breeze for you. For some people it's like hell. It just depends on you, honestly. So that's not really a question that you can ever really get answered and feel satisfied about. Next, I got pierced with a 14 gauge bar. So my initial bar was 1 inch, and I have a little card. I have a little card here. So if you can see from right here where my nail is pointing to the bottom of this card. So from right here to right here. So this was as long as the bar was in my face. It's 1 inch. And I made sure that the bar was going to be long enough, because you don't want to have any after you get your cheeks pierced, your cheeks will swell. It will swell a lot. You will look like a chipmunk. You look like you have something in your face. Like you just got a tooth pulled. It's gonna swell a lot. And depending on you and depending on how you treat your piercing afterwards, depends on how long you'll stay swollen. But normal time is about a week and a half for your cheeks still to be swollen. My cheeks remained swollen for about 5 days. I took teething rings that were circles and they were hollow on the inside. I froze them in my freezer, and then I would put them over my cheeks, so making sure that the teething ring isn't touching the actual piercing but just around it. And I would sleep with them. I would just sleep with one on one side and one on the other side of my face, and that got the swelling down pretty quick. Now, like I said before, the bar was 1 inch, and it was perfect size because as my cheeks swole, it swole all the way up to the full inch of the bar. You do not want to get a bar shorter. I'm not saying 1 inch is the bar you need to get, but you need to make sure with your piercer that the bar they're piercing you with will give you room, will give your face room when it swells. I would not recommend anyone, doesn't matter what your face looks like, to get your face pierced with a bar this short. Your face will swell, and when your face swells, your face will end up swallowing the jewelry, and then that's a disaster in itself, clearly. So after the swelling goes down, naturally you do not want to have the long bar sticking out of your face as it does. I kept my long bars in for maybe a month and a half, maybe 2 months, even after the swelling went down, just to make sure that I was cleaning it and making sure that the piercing was moving freely in and out of my cheeks and not getting caught on like the little crusties that build up. I recommend buying your jewelry. If you want to buy your jewelry from the piercing shop you got pierced at, then go ahead, but I'm cheap and I don't want to, because from my area, piercings and tattoo shops, the jewelry they sell are really expensive, like $30 for 1 bar. And I have 2 of them. I need 2 bars. I'm not paying $60 for that. I'm sorry. But there are many piercing websites where you can definitely get jewelry for the low, so it's not that big a deal. I got mine from Painful Pleasures. And I love this website because they have everything you can imagine that's piercing associated. They have something for it. Trust me, they do. And this is a U.S. company, so if you're living in the U.S., definitely hit them up and you can purchase something from them. I'm not sure if they have international shipping. Since I've been in Japan, I haven't ordered anything from this website, so I'm not sure. But you can definitely just check it out. But when you order something from their website, they do send this little card with whatever you bought, and I've kept this card for me for like the longest time. I have 2 of these, I believe, and I carry this with me. I just do. And it's very helpful because it has the gauges, it has the gauges here that you can line the bars. Also, when you get your piercings, when you first get your cheeks done, whenever you are changing your jewelry, don't remove the jewelry for too long. So don't take it out and just walk around the house and relax, and then 30 minutes later hope to put it back in with ease. That's not going to happen. It's going to close immediately. So just be wary of that. But this card helps me with the sizes. So if I had an inch bar and I wanted to go down just a smidgen, because I was really, I wanted to be very careful. So I went to a 15th, 16th of a bar, which was actually pretty hard to find, to be honest. The standard bar sizes are an inch, 7/8, 3/4, 5/8, a half, 3/8, 1/4, and 1/8. I have never done anything below a half, so. But I know when I look online and when I go to stores, 1 inch to a half, you can find bars like that. They're readily available. It's the bars that are in between those sizes that are really difficult to find, so I always have to go online to get them. But trust me, it's 2015. The internet got everything. You know what I mean? There's eBay, there's Amazon, there's piercing, there's painful pleasures, there's everything. So you'll find it. Just gotta look. So I went down to a 15th, 16th, and it worked. And then, I gradually just kept going down and down and down a size. So right now I'm wearing a 5/8 bar, and I've been wearing a 5/8 bar for like the past maybe 8 months. I've been wearing a 5/8 bar for quite some time. And this is a 5/8 bar. So this length right here. So that is a 5/8. And that is the 5/8 bar right there. I wear barbells, and barbells are the same as tongue ring bars, standard tongue ring bars, a ball on this side and a ball on the other side. And that's what I wear in my cheek. I don't want to have a labrette, and a labrette is one with a flat back, like this. This is a labrette. As you can tell, the back is flat and the ball is on the outside. And these are usually used for Monroes. I do not wear labrettes in my cheeks because I do not want this flat, my cheeks, the tissue on the inside of my mouth to cover this flat back. I do not want that. And I have heard too many horror stories where that's happened to people, so I don't want to. Now I know there are many people with cheek piercings who do wear labrettes, and that's fine. Like I said, everyone's different, but you have to know the type of skin you have. Me, I have fat cheeks, so if you have fatter cheeks or you feel like you have fatter cheeks, I recommend just going with a barbell. It's easier. You do not feel the balls on the inside of your mouth. I promise you, you don't. Once you have the right size ball for yourself. When I initially got my cheeks done, the bar was an inch, like I said, but the balls were 6 millimeters, which are really big. So 6 millimeters is this size right here. This size is a 6 millimeter ball, and that's a pretty large ball. And that was actually very irritating to my face on the inside and the outside. Very, very uncomfortable. So I did go back to the piercer eventually and ask him to remove the balls that were that large, but I did have to wait for some time because I was advised by my piercer to wait before I started to try to change the bars and stuff. But when I was able to actually change it, I was so happy to get smaller balls because that was so painful. I promise you it was. It really was. So this is what a 6 millimeter ball looks like. And this is standard for like belly button rings and some tongue rings. And it has a gem on the top. But this, for me, is for my personal preference, I don't like balls this big on my own face. I just don't. I prefer smaller jewelry. So I went to my perfect size jewelry. If I'm going to wear a ball, like these little silver balls on the outside of my cheeks, I do a 4mm ball, which is this size right here. So I prefer the 4mm balls. They're perfect. Healing time. So I know many people have different things they say or believe or have heard about cheek piercing healing times. I mean, like I said, I guess everybody's different. But I was told that the healing time would be a year to 2 years. It's been a little over a year. And I personally don't think my cheeks are healed. I mean, they're much better than the day I got them. But I don't think they're healed. I don't really think I think it'll take quite some time for my cheeks to actually heal with these piercings. I think if I took them out and I took them out for a day, they would close. That's what I think. Complications that I've had with my cheek piercings. I've had them all. The thing is, I got bumps on my piercings. If you looked at some cheek piercing YouTube videos, I know you have seen this already. I got bumps on my cheek piercings, and it made me so mad. Because every video I looked at, every blog I read, every article I read, everyone I talked to, no one could tell me what it was. And that is frustrating. But always, firsthand, if you have some issues with any piercing, the smartest thing to do is to go to your piercer. So I got these little bumps, like I have one right now. And in the beginning, they were really bad because they would get really big and they were pink. They weren't keloids. I knew that already because, and also keloids tend to be the same color as your skin. These were pink. And keloids don't have anything in it. Keloids is just tissue. These bumps that I got on my cheeks when I first got my cheeks pierced, they were painful. First they started out really small, like a pimple, I thought. And then they'd get really big, like a pimple. And it would be right next to the actual piercing, like, hole. Right next to it, right next to the jewelry. So the jewelry would irritate it. So I thought maybe smaller jewelry. You know, I tried so many different things. But for me, what I found out was that because it takes such a long time for your cheeks to heal, for my cheeks to heal from the piercing. You know, the stuff that naturally comes out of the healing process. If you have piercings, you know, the little crusties you get and all that stuff. Sometimes because the cheek piercings are so close to the wound that is healing, sometimes the little crusties that are supposed to form, they get trapped underneath the skin. So that liquid that's supposed to be coming out, it gets trapped under the skin. Now, I'm not saying pus. You shouldn't have pus coming out of your piercing. If you think you have pus or any kind of discharge, like green and like dark yellow, then you should definitely talk to your piercer about that, because then it may be infected. Especially if it smells. If it smells, you should talk to somebody. But sometimes the fluids sometimes fluids get trapped into these little pockets. I know this is nasty, but yeah, this is what it is. But either way, I had these little bumps on my cheeks, and how I solved these issues was you just keep cleaning them. If you have these bumps, and you just keep cleaning them. Don't give up. Just keep on cleaning them. If you're thinking about getting piercings, just know that this may be something that may happen. Also, do cheek piercings leave scars? Yes, they will. They will leave scars. I don't know anybody who has cheek piercing and hasn't had a scar left behind, but the degree of the scar, it depends person by person. But in my opinion, I do believe they definitely will leave scars on your face. It just depends on what you justify or what you perceive as something that's worth it. For me, I didn't really care if it left scars. I wasn't planning on taking them out anytime soon. So if you are thinking about getting cheek piercings and you just want them for a small time, I personally wouldn't recommend you getting them. I just recommend go get another piercing somewhere else. Because this does take a lot of work to clean and maintain. It's not as simple as like a belly button ring or a nose ring. So definitely consider that. It will take a lot more time to heal, and you got to really baby them up and stuff like that. So if you don't like doing stuff like that, then I don't recommend them getting these. I really don't. What I used to clean them is warm water and sea salt. And the best way that I used to clean them was to get a bottle, any generic bottle, like bottled water, but with some warm water, and then fill it up and then put a little bit of sea salt in it. Make sure that the sea salt dissolves, and make sure it's sea salt and not table salt. Sea salt. And put it in the water, make sure it dissolves, and then put the bottle against your cheek so the water can get around the piercing, and just hold it there on each piercing for about a minute, and do that twice a day. And then when you're done soaking it, take a Q-tip and just wipe away, you know what I mean, take like a moist Q-tip and just wipe around the piercing, and that's pretty much it. That's really it. I've moved on. After I received the bumps, I started using Bactine spray. And Bactine spray is okay if you feel like the piercing is getting kind of irritated. It will definitely clean it up. The Bactine spray that's like no sting, it's really good. But do not overuse that spray. I did, and it did me no good. Yeah. Also, another solution is contact solution is a saline solution. So sometimes I just take this and I, okay, didn't mean to do that. And I put it on, I just let it drip on my piercing, like that. And take a Q-tip and go around it. Same. If you are female and you wear makeup, do be wary of your makeup getting into the piercing. Just don't let your makeup get into the piercing. That's not going to be a good time, I promise you. Clearly I wear makeup, but I'm very meticulous in making sure that I do not get makeup into my piercings. In the beginning, I would just make sure that I had a napkin and I would cover the spot and go around my makeup. Just be a little careful, especially if you're in the new stage of your piercing. Just always have something that can cover it a little bit when you're putting your makeup on. And don't worry, you know, you'll get it. You can still blend it out later around the piercing without getting makeup in the piercing. Where there's a will, there is a way, I promise you. So because I wear barbells in my cheek, another little bit of advice for you if you're buying cheek piercings and you know you're trying to save your money, because you know your girl's cheap, so you know I got y'all. You know I got y'all. I do y'all right. Believe me. For real. It was in the beginning when I was trying to buy some jewelry. Sometimes, because you already have the bars, sometimes you just want to change the balls. If you try to be cheap and you know you want to budget or whatever, you don't have to go ahead and buy 2 new bars, like tongue ring bars, because you want to change the ball on the outside. That wouldn't make sense, right? Right. That wouldn't make no sense. You have one option. If you can just buy separate balls. That sounds weird. But yes, you can just buy separate jewelry on piercing websites like Painful Pleasures, or you can even get it on eBay in like a lot form, like a whole bunch of gems, a whole bunch of stainless steel balls, a whole bunch of, whatever color you're looking for. You can do that. If not, in the beginning, what I did was I bought septums. I would buy a septum in the same gauge of my cheek piercing, so a 14 gauge septum, and septums already come with 2 jewelry pieces on the end. If it's a horseshoe septum, bam, price of 1. It's super cheap for a little septum on a piercing website or eBay or Amazon. And you take the little jewelries off, put them on. There you go. You want a budget? You looking good? Yes. But if you are okay with trying to cover your piercings or conceal them, then you can use a retainer. There are cheek retainers. I don't have one on me. I'm sorry. But there are cheek retainers, and it's just like a little plastic piece, and it's like a flat back and a flat on top. So if you've been wearing labrettes, which are the flat backs in your cheeks, then you can go ahead and try to use a retainer. You can get that on a piercing website, and there's no jewelry on the outside, so no one can see it. It keeps the piercing open. Excuse me. So you can do that. I tried a retainer, but because I don't like flatbacks on the inside of my cheek, because my cheek swallows them, I stayed away from them because I tried it once and my cheeks did try to close around the jewelry. So that didn't work for me. So what I did was I bought a labrette, a clear labrette, this one. I bought a clear labrette, and this is my little trick. So maybe ask you, tell them I told you. So I bought a little clear labrette, and I recommend a clear one. And I put the ball on the inside of my cheek and had this flat back, on the outside of my cheek. And yes, you can still see it from the outside of your face, but because it's flat and it's clear, it is not as noticeable as these piercings. Like, these are clearly obvious, but they are not that noticeable. Most people will look at them and see them, but not know what they are. So that's something you can try to use to get away. It's not as flawless as a retainer, but if you definitely have tried a retainer or you don't like the idea of it, this is definitely an alternative. To take a libret and just flip it in the opposite direction. That is the way to do it. Or you can get internally threaded bars. And an internally threaded bar is like this. So here's a barbell. And an internally threaded bar is meaning the barbell itself has a hole that you insert the jewelry in. An internally threaded jewelry will look like this. I'm using a tweezer. Where it has the screw. The screw for the jewelry is actually on the jewelry piece instead of the actual bar. And regular threaded jewelry, which is just a regular barbell, and regular jewelry looks like this, where the screw is on the actual bar. Now, if you were trying to if you want your cheek piercings to not be very noticeable, and you don't want anybody to notice because you have a job or you're at school or your parents or whatever, whatever your reason may be, I recommend going to Painful Pleasures, or I'm just saying Painful Pleasures because that's the brand that I like personally, but I mean, you can do it at any piercing website, honestly. It doesn't matter. And you can get these flat, if you can see this this is really small. And this is a jewelry top for an internally threaded bar, and it is flat. And this is usually like an anchor for like a dermal, like dermal anchors. Some dermal anchors, because they are internally threaded jewelry, you can put them on a barbell. Some, and sometimes they come in skin colors. So like this one here is brown, so I can wear that one on the outside. I haven't worn it yet because I haven't needed to, but that is also an option as well. And they were very inexpensive. They were 99 cents each. So there's a multitude of ways if you are trying to conceal a cheek piercing if you already have them. So I really hope this video helped someone out there, any of you who are looking to get cheek piercings or already have cheek piercings. If you have any questions, then you can definitely comment below. I'll definitely reply. Definitely follow me on Instagram at beescallme_honey. Hit me up. Your girl will answer. You already know. But yeah, I definitely really hope this helps some of y'all. Alright, but I'll see y'all later though.
If you know me, know this ain't my feng shui. Certified everywhere, ain't got a print a resume. Take out. Talk crazy.